So hey, what's going on everyone? In this video, let's see how to create your own portfolio using Three.js. And if I scroll this, you can see the animations, right? And that's the power of GSAP. And with the help of Three.js, we are actually rotating that 3D model. And now you can see that pretty cool animation, right? If you want to learn more about Three.js, then you're introducing this professional Three.js course. Here you'll be learning everything you need to know to get started, including the basics of Three.js and how to create and manipulate 3D objects and how to add lightings and materials to your scene. Throughout the course, you'll work on hands-on projects that will help you to bring a strong foundation in Three.js and give you the skills to create your own 3D graphics and animations. Plus, you will have access to our team of expert instructors who are always available to answer your questions and provide support. So don't miss this opportunity to become a master of Three.js and take your web development skill to the next level. Enroll in this professional Three.js course, and now let's jump into this video. Welcome to this project, and in this project let's see how to create your own portfolio using Three.js. So in previous project we had seen about the Lamborghini model, right? So in this, let's see how to animate your whole entire scene using Three.js. So here I just have a basic HTML template and add few sections, and here you can see that, right? Like I had also animated that using jQuery. So if you scroll down at the very bottom, you can find that library over here, and you can see that over here, right? And similarly, I just linked that animation.js in order to actually add that animation fade into this into this container. So it's just a basic HTML and CSS stuff. If you don't know about that, then check out this check out this HTML and check out this style.css. So now what we're gonna do is we're going to be animating this entire scene using Three.js. So we'll be using a library called GSAP. So we had already seen that, right? So we'll be using that library. In order to actually install that, just open up your terminal and install that using npm I GSAP and just hit on enter, so that you'll install the GSAP library. Once you're done with that, now let's get back to our scene. Here you can see that I just created a basic scene and had added some point lights over here, and also I had loaded my Mars 3D model, so you can find this 3D model on Sketchfab website. And I just fixed some positions and also had fixed some scale values, and also added some particles in order to actually make this scene more realistic. And here you can find the camera and you can find the renderer as well. So yeah, now we're going to be animating this entire scene. So here you can find that, right? Like document.body.onScroll. So here we are just selecting this text in order to actually animate that while scrolling. So now we can see that fade, right? That's because we had just selected that text from our HTML. So here you can find the text, right? Like here you can find that, right? Like we had declared a div class name called 8. So we're just selecting that and we're just selecting the h1 tag, and using the CSS property we're just animating that with the help of some simple math over here. Okay, so now if I scroll this, you can see the animation, right? So for this thing I'd use the same thing, like I selected the container, and here inside the CSS property I just fixed some value over here which is going to be 6. And if I scroll this, yeah, here you can see the fade, right? Like you can adjust this value 5 or something, so that now you can find that it'll fade before the limit. So now we can see the fade, right? So now that's good. So let's keep that as 5. Now let's get back to our code. Okay, so here what I'm going to do is I just import the GSAP library from our from our modules, node modules. So let's actually do that. Let's import that GSAP. We're going to be importing the scroll trigger. Let's import the scroll trigger from GSAP, and here we just specify the path to all, right? So we just need to change that thing. So here what I'll do is I'll just remove that and I'll just change that to scroll trigger. Alright, now what we're going to do is we're going to be importing this scroll trigger and we're going to be registering that plugin. So here I'll just do that thing. Alright, so now what I'll do is I'll just select my GSAP library and let me register that plugin. So you can select that, and we're going to be registering the scroll trigger value, which is going to be scroll trigger. And now what we're going to do is we're going to be setting that scroll trigger default value. So let's select that scroll trigger plugin, and let's set the default values. And here inside that we're going to be setting the scrub value to something like 3, and we're going to be adding an ace effect, which is going to be ace, and let's set that to none. Alright, so now what I'll do is I'll just select my sections. So here inside HTML, here I got the sections, right? So let's select this section. Without class name we can't select this section, so that's why we're just using the class name over here. And let's select this section first. Okay, let's actually do that. Here what I'll do is I'll just create a new variable which is going to be sections, and let's select that from our HTML, which is going to be document dot query selector. Let's select that thing. Let's select all the child classes. So like we got several different sections, right? Like we got the scroll container over here, and we got the scroll container, right? So if I scroll this, you can see that scroll containers, we got the second scroll container over here, and we got the third one over here. So we're going to be selecting all this thing. So using child we can actually select that. So what I'll do is I'll just select that using the query selector all. Okay, so now what I'll do is I'll just set that to dot scroll container, and make sure to enter that in a same name like we had just declared that scroll container over here, and similarly we had just declared scroll container over here, right? So that we can select all these sections. Now let's get back to our script.js. Alright, so now what I'll do is I'll just create a new timeline for actually animating this entire scene. So let me create a new timeline for that, which is going to be GSAP timeline. Alright, now let's use that timeline to animate this, to animate the camera over here. So let's select that timeline over here, and let's set that starting position using from, and we're going to be selecting the camera position. Alright, so now what I'll do is I'll just select 3 different values, which is going to be x value. So let's set that as 0, and let's select the y value. Let's set that as 0 as well, and let's set the z value to something like 0 as well. Okay, alright, now what I'll do is I'll just set the duration for this animation fade thing. So let's actually do that by selecting the duration. Let's set that to 1 second, and then let's add an ace transition effect. So for that I'll just select the ace ace property, and inside that let's set that to expo. So you can find the official documentation, you can find that right below this video. So just check out all the properties so that you can get to know more of the animation part. So now what I'll do is I'll just set the pin type to transform. Okay, so that we can get a cool scrolling animation thing. And if you want toggle actions, you can set that as well. So yeah, let's set that first, which is going to be toggle actions, and let's set that to play, none, and reset. Okay, well, that's fine. Now we're going to be animating the camera. So let's actually do that by selecting our timeline. Let's set that to 2, and here what we're going to do is we're going to be selecting our camera position. Okay, so first let's animate the camera position, and inside that we're going to be passing some values for that. So my x value is going to be something like -3. Alright, so here what it'll do is it'll just move the camera animation while scrolling. Okay, so you can set those values. So here what I'll do is I'll just set my z value to something like -2, and I'll just set the delay value to something like 1. So here what I'll do is I'll just select my ScrollTrigger plugin. So let's actually do that. So here I'll just select my ScrollTrigger plugin. Okay, let's select that, and here what I'll do is I'll just set some trigger values in order to actually make that animation. Okay, so first I'll just set the trigger value, which is going to be sections, because we just declared the sections over here, right? So let's select that sections, and here let's select the 0th child class, which is the first child class. Okay, so this is the 0th child class, and this one is the first child class, and this one will be the second child class. It will be like in the index value. So this one is a 0 index value, and it will be the 1, and it will be the 2. Okay, so it's just a simple JavaScript property for selecting an array list. Okay, so we'll just select the 0th array list, which is going to be my first container. Okay, and here what I did is that I just set those camera position values as soon as the scroll trigger is being triggered. Okay, so now what I do is that I just set my toggle action over here. Alright, So now what we're gonna do is it we're gonna be doing that same thing for the rest of the sections. So for that I'll just copy this out and I'll just paste it over here, and let's change the parameter values. So now what I'll do is it I'll just change this parameter to something like 1, and here I'll just change that to 2, and make sure to add the commas over here or else you'll get a syntax error. Okay, so just add that over here. So here let's change those values to something like x to 1 value. Yeah, and yeah, we don't need to change the y and z value. And here let's change the y value to something like -3. Alright, now we got a 3D model. So if I scroll this, we can see the animation thing over here. That's because we're just using a jQuery library. And here we got a header, and if I scroll this to something like this, and here we got a section. As soon as the section is reached, you can see the animation thing, right? And if I scroll this, you can see that animation. Okay, so now the thing is, like, we're just not getting that transition fade effect. Like, the animation thing breaks over here. Okay, so we need to actually change that. So if I scroll this, you can see that the animation thing breaks over here, so we don't actually need that. So let's actually change that thing. So for that, let's introduce another property inside the scroll trigger, which is going to be immediate render. Okay, so let's set that to false. Alright, let's do the same thing for the first scroll trigger and for my second scroll trigger. Alright, now if I scroll this, you can see the animation thing, right? And there is no any breakages over here. Now the animation looks cool and smooth. And here we just used an position property, right? So we can use rotation as well. So I'll just change this to rotation. So if I scroll this, now it looks pretty good, and we're getting some smoother animations over here. And yeah, we're getting some content over here, and our camera is literally rotating, and we can add some images over here. But for now, it's a demo website, so I'll just leave this space as such. So you can do that using HTML and CSS. And if I scroll this a little bit, here we go, we got a 3D model, and that's how you actually build your own portfolio using Three.js. So it's pretty easy, right? Yeah, the thing is, you need to learn that in an efficient manner. So yeah, we'll get to know more about the GSAP plugins later in the upcoming projects. And yeah, that's pretty much it. I'll catch you guys in the next project. Peace.